בעזרת השם, today, I was hoping actually to talk about two subjects, but I believe we're going to talk about only one. Sounds simple, but that is why I'm going to talk about it, because in reality it is not simple. Rashi's commentary. You know, Rashi has many commentaries upon him. Many are talking about his own commentary that he did on the Torah. Why? He actually have the most than anyone else. He have so many. Some say it's over 100 commentaries. Some say it's a lot. It's a huge amount. Only on Rashi. Let's study now a bit and see what's so special about all of it. Rashi's commentary was accepted by the primary interpretation to be the primary interpretation of the Torah, right? As we can find with many Rishonim and Acharonim that agrees upon it. That's the main interpretation. It has been transmitted that his commentary was composed through divine spirit, from the Ruach HaKodesh, so to say the way he did his commentary. And in the language he wrote it, it was Hebrew. Now, the Shulchan Aruch rules that by studying Rashi's commentary, one fulfills the obligation of reading the weekly portion twice in Hebrew and once in the Aramaic translation. Because we have Shnai Mikra Yachat Targum, Shulchan Aruch posek rules out that if somebody study only Rashi instead of Shnai Mikra Yachat Targum, it discounts the equivalence. He doesn't need to study that anymore, he can just study the whole parasha with Rashi, that would be enough.
So even without the actual Chumash?
Yeah, actually even without the actual Chumash, you just study the Rashi interpretation. This is Shulchan Aruch Orach Chaim, 295.
Interesting.
Yeah. Rabbi Shlomo Alkabetz described the proper attitude towards his commentary. The words of Rashi are like the words of our sages, and one who disagrees with him is as one who disagrees with them, with our sages, and one who disagrees with them is as one who disagrees with the divine presence. Pshee! Shoresh Yishai writes it.
Sorry, what is Shoresh Yishai?
Shoresh Yishai is one of the, it's a book. It's a book. Right? One of the sages wrote it.
What period? Chazal? Chazal wrote it?
Yeah, the Chazal.
Chazal, okay.
Yeah. But after the Gemara.
Okay.
After the Amoraim, for sure.
Okay.
His grandson, well actually, I don't know, I'm not sure, it's hundreds of years, but yeah. Rashi's grandson, Rabbeinu Tam, praised his grandfather's commentary on the Torah, saying, listen what Rabbeinu Tam said. What my grandfather explained on the Talmud, I too could do. מה שרש"י רגע הסביר על התלמוד, גם אני יכול. ככה רבנו תם אמר. But a commentary on the Torah, I do not have the power to compose. Rabbeinu Tam says he cannot write a commentary on the Torah. Like him. No way. There is a story about it actually. Before Rashi started his commentary on the Torah, what did he do? He did something special before he started to write his commentary on the Torah. Because he did that. That is why Hashem gave upon him the Ruach HaKodesh to write his commentary. Beautiful story, but it's going to be later. Maybe we will go for it. You have it actually in here, in the pages.
It's written there in the pages.
In English, yeah, it's written down. And other early Torah commentators likewise define Rashi as the greatest of all Torah commentators. We must remember that when Rashi explains according to the plain meaning, right, the pshat, listen, he does not do so based on what he personally thinks. That's not how he explained the Torah. It's not about how he thinks and how he come to explain the Torah. Not according to how people understand the Torah from their own ideas. But rather, he explains the Torah according to the spoken Torah, from the oral Torah, from the Torah shebe'al peh, he explained the Torah shebichtav. Interesting. In other words, the pshat of the Torah according to the Torah itself. You understand? That's how Rashi gave the explanation of the Torah. According to the Torah itself. Not according to human reasoning. Right? If you see other commentators that come to the pshat of the Torah, yes, they explain in the beginning, in their introduction of their commentary, why they did it and so on. Some of them, one of them, for example, the Ibn Ezra, come and explain that he did it as what humans can understand from it. Alright, way different. Therefore, within Rashi's explanations, one can find hints, homilies, basically the Midrash, and even mystical secrets of the Torah, even though his declared purpose was to explain the simple meaning of the text. Of course, simple meaning that comes from the spoken Torah. And if the Torah itself is so wide, is so big, even the spoken Torah, so even what Rashi is going to give over there is going to be very deep meanings, right? As Rabbi Shaket Bohadana teaches, the Torah has no end, no matter how much one studies. In every level, Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod, there are within each one of them, again, Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod. And so on it continues without limit.
Wait,
Who says it, Rabbi Shaket?
Rabbi Shaket Bohadana Shalita, okay.
Who is? Can you give
it's a rabbi in Israel, amazing.
You mean from our
nowadays, yes, from our generation.
No.
Amazing rabbi. He, as far as I've seen, he's great. He explains it amazingly through the hints of the Torah and the Midrashim of the Torah. Mainly the hints, amazing. Highly recommend anybody who knows Hebrew to listen to his teachings. Okay.
What are these Pshat, Remez, Derash, Sod?
Exactly. What you have in page 3, that's just an explanation, because I remember in the past, few people asked me, what does it actually mean, the pshat, the plain meaning? What does it actually mean, remez, the hints? What does it actually mean, the drash? And what does it really mean, the esol? That's how I just wrote it. In page 3, you can just read about it if you want.
Okay. Don't have to tell me, yes, I understand.
Let's continue to page 4.
Sure.
Rashi. What does Rashi use in his commentary? You think it's simple? Well, in my opinion, we need to know quite a lot before we even start to learn about Rashi's commentary. Yeah, we don't have to, of course, we can just start with it. But look at it. In Exodus, chapter 6, verse 12, וידבר משה לפני השם לאמור, הן בני ישראל לא שמעו אליי, ואיך ישמעני פרעה, ואני ערל שפתיים. Basically, Moshe says, and Moshe spoke before Hashem, saying, behold, Israel have not listened to me, and how shall Pharaoh hear me? Listen to me. Why?
Are you following from the,
And I am
the page now?
ואני ערל שפתיים.
Yes.
Next page, yes.
Oh, sorry.
All good. אני ערל שפתיים, you know, my lips is...
Here.
Hold on. Rashi explains, what does he says there? Out of all of this, how will Pharaoh listen to me? How shall Pharaoh hear me? What do you think Rashi would explain? Interesting. Rashi said, this is one of the 10 cases of Kal v'chomer that we find in the Torah. We have Kal v'chomer. Right? You don't know what it is? I recommend you to check it up. But basically, this is here, Rashi wrote his use of Rabbi Ishmael's first hermeneutical principles. 13 מידות של רבי ישמעאל. רבי ישמעאל אומר, ב-13 מידות התורה נדרשת First one, Kal Vachomer. Kal Vachomer. There is 10 Kal Vachomer in the Torah. Rashi says, you know what? Over here, this is one of the Kal Vachomer. What does it mean? Moshe argues, if Israel, who should have believed me, right? If Israel should have believed me, they did not listen. Surely Pharaoh, who opposes Hashem, he of course will not listen to me, right? It makes sense. If those who normally believe in Hashem doesn't even believe me, doesn't listen to me, someone does not even believe in Hashem, Mi Hashem, Asher Yishma B'Kolo, and so on. Will he listen to me? Of course not. Rashi gives one here, Kal Vachomer. Sounds easy, but in reality there is even more in that. Let's continue to another example, different place. In Genesis chapter 2, verse 8. Over here Rashi used the 32 principles of Rabbi Yosei Galili. What is, by the way, just side comment, what is the differences between the 13 principles of Rabbi Ishmael and that? The 14 principles of Rabbi Ishmael have big meanings, but basically how can we use it? The sages said we can actually use it for everything in the Torah. We can use it in spoken Torah and written Torah. What does it mean? We can use it in the Mishnah. We can use it in the Gemara. We can use it in Midrashim, Agadot, even Halachot. The principles of Rabbi Ishmael. But now, the 42 principles of Rabbi Yosei Galili, what is it mainly used? Not for everything. That is mainly used for Midrashim and Agadot. To understand. Because sometimes you read Midrash or Agadah, it does not sound, no way that's the simple meaning, right? How can you really know that? What can you fall upon? What basis do we have in Judaism that tell us, you know, you're correct? The 32 principles of Rabbi Yosei Galili. If you know them, then you know when it actually means to come with the pshat, when it's an idea that it comes to tell you something, and so on and so forth. All right. By the way.
So what's the rule?
Huh?
What is the rule of what is one of the rules of Rabbi Yosei Galili?
Yeah, we're gonna go about it soon.
Sorry, yeah.
Just one more thing I would like to say about Rabbi Ishmael. I really love it because if we go a bit deeper, what do we have? What number 14 do we have? We have 14 principles of Rabbi Ishmael, great, right? Kal Vachomer, Gdera Shava, Binyan V'Chatuv Echad. What else do we have? 14 attributes of Hashem. El, Rachum, Bechanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed, and so on, right? The sages say something amazing. They are corresponding each other. If somebody made a problem with his Kal Vachomer, the way to fix it is with the name of El. Where do we find that? Do you remember that Miriam spoke against Moshe accidentally and so on? She didn't mean that. She just spoke with Aaron to help, to try to do something good. What was her mistake? We are prophets. Moshe is a prophet, right? Kal Vachomer it sounds. She did a Kal Vachomer. If we are still with with my husband and Aaron is with his wife, Moshe should also be with his wife, right? Kal Vachomer. She was mistaken. Because Moshe was so humble, he did not tell everyone, I have the highest prophecy of them all. Moshe did not say, until Hashem says, later on, panim el panim medaber bo.
What's the Kal Vachomer exactly?
Kal Vachomer is that we are the elders. Good, that you ask. What is the Kal Vachomer here?
No, with Miriam.
Yeah, Miriam and Aaron are older than Moshe Rabbeinu, right?
Yeah.
When Miriam was young, you know, there was the decree of Pharaoh. All the baby boys should be thrown to the water.
Yeah.
What did her father do? He divorced his wife. Right? Amram divorced his wife. Miriam had a prophecy when she was a kid. 6 or 8, I'm not sure. I think it was 8 years old. She had prophecy already at that age. And what did she know? She told her father, what you do is worse than Pharaoh. Pharaoh only wants to destroy the boys. What she do is preventing boys and girls even to come to the war. And then she told him that you are going to have a boy that's going to save all of Israel. Psh! What did she do? She is the cause that Moshe even came into existence in a way, right?
Mm-hmm.
In some aspect, in a spiritual way, if you want, she's kind of the mother of Moshe in a way, so to say, not really, but she's the cause that Moshe came. And if Moshe is now not going to be with his wife, it's going to be just like their father. He's not going to be with his wife. Because she convinced her father to be back with his wife, who came to be Moshe Rabbeinu. Maybe Moshe also needs to do the same, right? Kal v'chomer. Kal v'chomer.
So
Maybe Moshe can bring somebody amazing into existence as well. Kal v'chomer again. And that was the problem again. And that is the problem of Kal v'chomer. What did Moshe do? El na refan Allah. El. He used the word El. Why? Because that's the first one. El, Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim, 14 attributes of Hashem. Rabbi Ishmael Omer, ב-13 midot, Kal v'chomer, that's the first one. Amazing.
But what was wrong about Moshe divorcing his wife?
Oh.
Why did he divorce his wife?
That's another subject for another time. Let's continue
Okay,
here.
fine, yes,
It is very interesting. It's very good, but let's continue here. 32 principles of Rabbi Yisrael Galili. And the law and Hashem, Elohim, planted a garden in Eden, right? In the east, and there he placed the man who he had formed. ויתה השם אלוקים גן בעדן מקדם, והיה שם שם את האדום אשר יעזור.
I think I lost you.
Yeah,
No worries, it's page 5 now. Page
5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rashi explained, in the east, what did it mean? In the eastern part of Eden, he planted the garden. Interesting. And if you should ask, but it already says that Hashem created a man in the previous chapter, right? Now Rashi said, I have seen in the Braita of Rabbi Eliezer, the son of Rabbi Yosef Galili, that among the 32 rules by which the Torah is expounded, we can understand it. And this is one of them. What is one of the rules? A general statement. I'm going to make a statement, it's going to be general, yeah? But then afterwards it's followed by an action. Here's a statement, and then the Torah gives an action. That this is the specification of the statement. Now if I give you an example, all the animals in the Torah they later give in Vayikra, Bamidbar, and so on. Give upon the altar an animal, right? Min bakar or min tzon, תקריבו את קורבנכם, all right. What does it mean? Then later on we start to list out what did that actually mean. Keves, say, and so on. What is allowed? The actual specific animals that you should use. כלל שלאחריו מעשה הוא פרטו של ראשון. One of the principles. Okay, how did it work here?
Isn't it the same as Rabbi Ishmael, no?
Yeah?
כלל ופרט וכלל, יתדן על כן הפרט.
Yeah, but there is a small twitch over here.
Yeah.
Small twitch, that's why he basically bring Rabbi Ishmael over here. כן?
קל וחומר.
You go back.
ואביה ירד בפניה.
That's another. Yeah.
משם לומדים את הקל וחומר.
Yeah, no, what I said also is from the... Yeah.
קל וחומר.
I agree, but I never said there is only one Kal Vachomer. There can be multiple Kal Vachomer in that case regarding Miriam and so on. The sages give another one what I said. I didn't say it for my own sense.
לא.
Okay.
לא, מה שפה רש"י התכוון, הקל וחומר,
כן.
זה ואביה ירד בפניה.
Rashi over here, yes. I just gave the example of how to deeply see what the Rabbi Ishmael had. Nice one, thank you.
What did he say, sir?
Later.
Okay.
Secret, no secret.
Over here, the creation of Adam. What do we study? What do we see? At first, It's and Hashem created man. It's a general statement. It tells of his creation, but not the details. Then the Torah returns on to clarify, and Hashem Elohim formed. That's how he started. He caused to grow a garden in Eden. He placed him there, Adam, yeah? He caused Adam to fall into a deep sleep. One might think these are new actions, but it's not a new actions. It's the same as earlier. It's just now come to explain what it was. But they are in fact details of the original general act. Of course we know Hashem didn't make two Adam Rishon, only one. It's come to explain that in the second chapter again what happened. So too regarding the animals, even the animals. It repeats, and Hashem Elohim formed from the earth every beast of the field, and then to explain why did it come right away, and he brought them to Adam, so Adam would give them a name, and to teach that the birds were created from the mud, combination of water and earth. That's where the birds were created from. Rakak, we call it. Let's continue. Okay, so here Rashi applies one of the 32 rules of Rabbi Yosef HaGalili. Alright, let's continue with
this.
the...
Saying that one of the rules is, sorry, actually, is that you have to say the general and then the specifics.
No, I can't say.
So it means only
general
the specifics.
specifics. Even when there is a statement and then actions about something that happened, that things that happen suddenly, it's actually explaining the statement the Torah first talked about.
So it doesn't have to be general, specific, and general again, like klal ufa to klal.
Oh, that's a different manner.
So just klal ufa.
Yes.
That's it.
Klal ufa, yes.
Okay.
Statement and then the what specifics in of it. Exactly. That is one rule how we
It's a
study
bit
the
different
Torah.
than Rabbi Ishmael.
And then if it continues, then there is another one, because after all Rabbi Ishmael have 32. Just went for one. But okay, let's go to a different aspect what Rashi goes about. The lower part of page 5. Genesis chapter 4. And Hashem said to Cain, after Cain killed Abel, "Where is Abel your brother?" And he said, "I do not know. Am I my brother's keeper?" What does Rashi says over there? When Abel said, "Hashomer Achi Anochi," am I my brother's keeper? Rashi explained, it is an expression of wonder. Am I my brother's keeper? A rhythmical question. How do we know it's a question? Likewise, every he vowel, yeah?
Rhetorical, yeah.
Every he verbalized with hataf patach. If we have hataf patach, the line and these two dots under the he, when somebody speaks, denotes to a tone of amazement. Wow, so Rashi says over here that לשון תימה הוא וכן כל הנקודה בחטף פתח. Rashi tells us stuff that we need to remember all over the Torah. You see a line and two dots under it, חטף פתח. That is somebody speaks, started. That is kind of לשון תימה, a question, amazement. What is you're going to come and say, alright? Alright, next one.
תסביר לו באנגלית את החטף פתח, אני לא... הניקוד.
There is the hay. You know how a hay look like? Good. Hay, now there is a line under the hay and two dots. That is called hataf patach.
What does it mean? This question?
That's the name of that vowel. Ha.
It's one of the, like kamats.
We can write it in many ways. We can write kamat, we can write patach. Then there is something special. Hataf patach.
Chataf patach, it's together.
Yes.
You have the chataf.
Hataf
Chataf
patach.
is like a minus, like a plus and minus. It looks like a minus. And then chataf is two dots. Like you put, so two dots and minus. Chataf patach. If they are together, next to each other.
Yeah.
Like under one letter, yeah?
Yeah, exactly. Okay, and so on and so forth.
Wait,
in
do you
just
have an example here? Under what you...
Yeah, there is
Oh, it doesn't. Yeah, it says Chataf Patach. It doesn't show like.
No, I didn't show it because we have the Shomer. In the head, yeah, now, the second,
Shomer? Yeah.
go down.
Shomer? Here, you're
Down,
very good.
yeah, over there,
Here,
yeah, a Shomer,
you
and it's
can
also
see.
down again.
Here.
A Shomer, you can see it.
Like
Either
this,
way.
Here, you see? Here you have Chataf Patach. This one is Patach, this line, the minus,
Exactly.
and then the two dots is Chataf.
Same for one letter.
Where you see this in the Bible?
When somebody speaks, under the letter He, now that's a question gonna be.
Well, so even the vowels are very particular and exact.
Exactly. Every vowel, suddenly Rashi says about that and so on. He's come to teach us, not only over here. Remember, what I'm saying is related to many other places as well in the Torah. Alright? Next, Rashi says about the Atbash. Honestly, because we don't have time, I'm just going to skip it. But the Rashi talks about Atbash. It's kind of a Kabbalistic way to understand the Torah. Suddenly, Rashi talks about that. Alright, Rashi is very interesting, you see. Even though he says, I'm coming to the simplicity of the Torah.
Yeah.
All of this simplicity, yeah, beautiful. Beautiful. If we are going to be simple people like that, Ezrat Hashem, I believe the redemption will come very fast.
So if I understand correctly, Atbash is that you take the first letter,
And the last letter.
the last letter.
Yeah.
So like
The
At
Aleph
is
changes
and
to a
Taf.
Taf. The Bet changes to a Shin.
So you
The
exchange
second
it.
letter and the second from the last. Exactly. Suddenly Rashi even give that.
So Bet is corresponding to Shin.
Bet is Shin. Right.
Because Shin is the last
Atbash.
one before the last.
Exactly.
The one before the last. Then Bet is the second after the beginning.
Exactly. And so on and so forth.
So let's say your name is Dor, you can write Dor and Atbash.
Exactly.
So it would be
Daled would be a Kuf.
Kuf.
The Vav would be a Peh.
Yes.
And the Resh would be a Gimel.
Very good.
I'm not even sure what, I don't remember. I
You
just
can write your name in
focus.
Atbash. Yeah.
Cute.
Yeah.
Alright, let's continue. Rashi. In his commentaries, many other teachings that follow the plain meaning, pshat of the Torah. That is to say, even when the Torah speaks about the spiritual realm, right? Let's go now talk about spiritual realm, such as Gan Eden, which is literally heaven. Yeah, Gan Eden is Gan Eden, heaven.
Sorry.
The Garden of Eden, page 7 in the top.
Page 7. Oh.
The place where the souls ascend after life. A reality entirely beyond our comprehension while we live in a physical world. Rashi still explains the Torah according to the Torah itself on its own divine level. Okay. Now I'm just going to skip because I want to get into the real main point of all of this. I don't want to do just
What page
well.
is he skip? What page is skipping into?
Huh?
What page is it?
Yeah, wait. Wahab in the book Gana de Pilpeli, beautiful stuff that he gives about page 9.
Yeah.
Basically, we have Gana de Pilpeli in the de Pilpeli, we have all kinds, they are beautiful. One of the in the de Pilpeli comes to say every time that Rashi writes a rabbi, an Amora or a Tana, because normally he doesn't write, but when he does, it actually comes to give a purpose. There is a very deep reason why he did it. Now let's go to page 11. Short, fascinating example. I really summarized it, okay? There is a quote in the Megillat that explains Mount Sinai, Hashem descends on the mountain. Okay. We find that Hashem literally came down onto the mountain. We might think that Hashem literally came down to the mountain. But the Torah says, from heavens I spoke with you. Alright? This teaches that Hashem bent down the heavens, spreading them over to the mountain like canopy, and his thrones of glory descended upon them. Okay, so on Mount Sinai, Hashem brought the heavens down to the mountain. Rashi wrote this to show that the descent of Hashem was symbolic. The heavens were drawn closer to the earth. And if we connect this we have another place where Rashi writes, in Genesis, he explained there that Adam, the man, was created from both heaven and earth. The body from the earth and the soul, the neshama from above. Because the goal of the creation is to unite the two. Can you see the correlation between the two aspects? Putting Rashi's explanation together regarding on Mount Sinai and now regarding the first man in the creation, we learn that the miracle at Mount Sinai,
Next page?
11. We find that the miracle at Mount Sinai, the heavens lowered onto the mountain, was meant to teach the same principle, that the purpose of the Torah is to join the heavens and the earth, spiritually and material life, by directing every earthly action towards heaven. If you're going to take every earthly action towards heaven, I drink something and I say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu melech haolam she'akol nהיה b'dvaro, I use that spiritually and physically. That's what Hashem wanted. Right? In page 12 to 14, you have this very nice example of the story. Before Rashi wrote his commentary, what did he actually do to receive the Ruach HaKodesh? I'm going to skip it, unfortunately, because of the time. Main topic of today, good luck following. It's going to take us a bit over time, no worries. 14 page. Genesis. We're going to talk about Cain and Abel. Simple. One of the Rashi's commentary. We don't need any more. In the Torah it is said, ויהי מקץ ימים, ויבא קין מפרי האדמה מנחה להשם. And it came to pass at the end of the days, so to say, that Cain brought from the fruit of the ground an offering to Hashem. Listen to what Rashi says. From the fruits of the ground? From the inferior produce. Ouch. There is Agada teaching that says it was a flax seed. Another explanation, another thing, from the fruit, from whatever came to his hand, not from the best or the choicest. Did you understand what Rashi means? So Cain brought an offering, right? To Hashem. Rashi said, from the fruit of the ground. What does the Rashi say over there? Inferior produce, so something pretty much bad, right? Agada says that it was flax seed. And another thing, what Rashi wants to tell us? From whatever came to his hand. Not good, not choiced. What do you mean? Look at the question we're going to have now, only about this. We're going to really drill into it, so follow up, be strong. Question number 1. Why does the Torah says that Cain brought from the fruit of the ground? Every Friday night, right, Erev Shabbat, in Kabbalat Shabbat, we recite the Mishnah of Shabbat. Bama madeligen of Amma and Madeligen, La Balachash Valaba Hassan, and so on. Right? With what we may lit and with what we may not lit the candles for Shabbat, yes? We may not lit with leches and so on and so forth. I'm just going to skip to the end. Not end, but middle of order. Anything that comes from a tree may not be used for lighting, except for flax, pishtan. And anything that comes from a tree does not become impure with the impurity of tents, except the flax. So, כל היצא מן העץ אינו מטעם מטומאת העולים אלא פשטן. Pishtan, that's what you said, right? There are pishtan, see the flax. But wait, do you see the differences? Everybody noticed? Did you notice? שמת לב מה ההבדל? What is the difference between the Mishnah and the Torah? In Mishnah, it sounds that Pishtan comes from the tree. Why? But the Torah says it comes from the ground, the fruit of the ground. Hey, do we have a machloket here? What's going on?
The tree comes from the ground.
Huh? But the Torah says from the ground. What did the sages say to see? Why does the spoken Torah tell us now it's from the tree? What's going on? Ground cannot become a tree. Tree can, okay, yeah, you can still call it a ground. Right? Question number 2. How can Rashi say that flax is inferior? Really? There is nothing in Hashem's creation, especially in the beginning creation, Genesis. There is nothing in Hashem's creation that is truly inferior or bad. There is nothing like that. Furthermore, one of the 4 rivers mentioned in the story of creation is named after flax. Right? The name of the first is Shem HaEchad Pishon. The first is named Pishon, flax. It surrounds the whole land of Havilah, where there is gold. Rashi says Pishon. Pishon means that it produces flax, as it is said of Egypt, and the workers of flax shall be shamed. אתה יכול להביא לי את הקטנצ'יק הזה פה ליד המחשב? כן. תודה רבה. So, if the Nile is blessed because it produces flax, the Torah and the Torah associate it with the blessing, with flax, river, blessings, right? How can Rashi later on now, with kind calls it an inferior? What are you talking about? How can it be true? Yeah? Question number 3. What is the connection between at the end of the days, מקץ ימים, and kind suffering? What does it mean? מקץ ימים and all of that. Okay? Number 4. Why does Rashi conclude with? Rashi finish and conclude everything from whatever came to his hand. Came to his hand? Not the good and not the choice. לא טוב, לא מובחר, בא לידו? What's the meaning of it? What do you mean by saying that? What does it come to teach us? Let's start with the Pshat now. We're going to go Pshat, Remez, Drash, and Sod about Rashi, what it comes with, and additional stuff to understand everything better. Let's start with the Pshat. First of all, flax, Pishtan, can be both the fruit of the tree and the fruit of the ground. פרי האדמה ופרי העץ. פשטן יכול להיות שניהם. Did you know that? שפתי חכמים and Rashi write that and says it. You want to know all of it? It's actually written here and you can read it over there. I'm just going to skip it because we don't have much time, but now you know. That's one of the only, if not the only, that can be both. Okay. Flax seed, which is both ground and tree, the Maharal. Okay. The Gutnik Chumash adds the term fruit of the earth implies that it was a fruit similar to the land. The only species which could be termed both fruit and of the land is flax. Because, two reasons. One, the Talmud teaches that any species whose stem does not disintegrate in the winter, such as flax, is termed of the earth. Number 1. Number 2, it is also referred to as a fruit, as we find in a verse in Yehoshua. And she hid them in the stalks of flax. Alright, so over there it's called it an etz. Okay, now we understand one aspect. Let's go to the Ramaz. The Gur Aryeh explained the meaning of Rashi and said it was a flaxseed. The Rayam writes, I have heard that the final letters of the word korban, which is the term used as an offering meal, right? Mincha, korban. From the word pishtan, we can find it. Could you believe? From the word korban, we find the word pishtan. How? You know, in Hebrew, each letter have actually a name, right? The first A is an aleph. Then we have a bet and a gimel. Each one of them have its own word, right? Take the word korban. Without the verb, of course, as it is written. Kuf. We call it a kuf. Then we have a resh. Take now the last letter of each of them. Kuf, pe. Resh, shin. Bet, taf. Nun, nun. What do we get? Pishtan. Psh. Pishtan. That's the commentary on Rashi, yeah? Amazing. Okay. So the word korban itself alludes to flax, connecting the term for the offering with the material used in it. What was used in it? Okay. The Beit Gadol in Perkei Rabbi Eliezer, commentary on the Midrash, yeah, says the same thing about the Ra'am. He gives exactly what we just said, but he gives an additional from the Zohar, because they found that from the Zohar. That's the actual source, apparently. From here we know that the flax comes from the final letters and labels. Kuf, Resh, Bet, Nun. Behold, you have the word flax. Okay, like I said earlier. But the Zohar says it's final letters, revealing hint and labels. Why do you need to say both, letters and labels? What's the difference? This is amazing. Let's see now through the Drash what it actually means. Why do we, basically it's like that. Even the sages, Torah gave it from the last letter. They could have brought it from the middle letter. Could have brought it the second letter, fourth letter or something. No, they brought only from the last letter.
Why?
Exactly. Why from the last letter? Why not from the middle maybe? Maybe it could have come from something else. Now we will see the reason it comes from the last letter. You see, that's now a drash. Now we're going to go through the drash itself. Rabbeinu Bachya says, listen, unbelievable. Cain brought from fruits unfit for an offering. Not from the first of the fruits, but the least valuable among them. We just said that flax is not bad, right? What does it mean? Listen. The Midrash says, Rabbeinu Bachya now quotes the Midrash. It is like a servant who eats the first fruits himself and sends to the king only the leftovers. That is, the last and poorest of the produce. What did Cain do? Gave leftovers for us a korban. How? That is why it's the last letter. Because it's the last thing that is still what remains over there from it. Unbelievable. Why? How could you say such a thing? What's going on? Next. Do you remember in the last Erev Kolel I said something that the world was created on Tishrei. Rabbi Eliezer says the world was created on Tishrei. Abel lived from the festival until Hanukkah, right? And I said, why do we need to know it was Hanukkah? What was special about saying Hanukkah, right? Now is the reason, listen. Gana de Pilpeli explains that it seems possible to explain this in a sharp and insightful way. It is the state in several places that Adam Harishon fulfilled the mitzvot. Not all of them. They never said all of them, but fulfilled the mitzvot. And it is reasonable to assume that he also educated his children to do so. The Midrash teaches that the day on which Abel was killed was the day of Hanukkah. Right? It is also taught in the Mishnah. Everything that comes from a tree, what we read, right, may not be used for lighting because the flame is not good, except for flax. And in the Gemara there it is said, Rav Huna said, whatever may not be used for Shabbat lights may also not be used for Hanukkah lights. Hanukkah again. Cute, right? Hanukkah again. Based on this, we can understand why specifically flaxseed is mentioned, since Cain was a man of the soil, right? He did not have animals from which he could light lamps using hair or similar materials. Only substance that come from the plants. And since it was Hanukkah, he needed wicks, right, which we light candles. Therefore, he necessarily lit them with flax, since among all things that come from trees or plants, only flax burn with a fine light. Thus, the Midrash says, the waste, so to say, the leftovers that was under his hand was flax seed. The meaning is that at first he had lit his wicks with strands of flax, okay? And the leftover flaxseed became the waste he brought as his offering upon the altar. The leftover, first of all, he used that for the wicks, and the leftover of the flax, brought it as a sacrifice to Hashem. I know probably most of you have a question. You need to take a step back. What are we talking about, right? Hanukkah was not even that back then.
Exactly.
Hanukkah didn't occur, right? What are we talking about now? How is it possible? Our sages teach this, that the spiritual lights of the holidays existed even before the events themselves took place in the world. So there is spiritual lights, right, in the higher worlds. They are still there even before anything occurred here in this world. In other words, the higher the spiritual realms, in the higher spiritual realms, where time operates differently from how we experience it, the divine energies of each holiday are already present on the specific days they will later occur in our physical world, okay? That is why you can find sages, commentaries, Rashi, Ramban even said, when the angels came to Abraham, when was it? Pesach. There was no Pesach. But the spiritual lights and so on of Pesach actually were still, and because they were prophets, well, they are prophets. They talk with Hashem, that's it, they are prophets, they have the understanding when and what are those spiritual lights that will come in the future on those days. Okay? Explained it shortly, you can read it longer over here. Now let's go to the Sod, because we don't have time. Skip a bit. Likutei Sichot. Beautiful. Okay. Clearly, both Cain and Abel wish to thank Hashem and make a statement of his absolute unity with the offering. What Cain did, he didn't do it in a I want to shame Hashem, chas v'shalom. No, he didn't do that. After all, he did bring an offering. He was the first one out of the two, right? But it seems that they differed in their understanding of the term unity. Unity of Hashem. Cain understood that Hashem's unity is totally beyond the multiplicity found in this world. Thus, he picked the best of all species, the flax, indicative of Hashem's greatness. But he paid no attention to the quality of these species, bringing the worst produce, basically leftovers, that he could find. He presumed that giving credence to the possibility of better and worse produce is not an appropriate offering to Hashem. You're going to value if this is good or bad. Hashem created everything. He can value it if it's good or bad, right? How are you allowed to value if it's good or bad? I'm just going to bring it to Hashem. One interesting way of understanding. Hashem is totally beyond any distinction between better and worse. He's beyond everything. Right? He created good and bad. He created everything. He's beyond that. If I'm going to give a sacrifice to him, it's beyond everything, so why does it matter? Psh. However, his presumption was mistaken. As the ultimate expression of Hashem's unity is to show how he is one within the multiplicity of the world. Meaning, every detail of creation, while it may be divided into better and worse, can nevertheless be elevated to Hashem. Thus, Heaven was correct in understanding that the multiplicity of the world must be given credence, and so he was careful to offer the best of his choice species. The same idea actually we have with the etrog. With the etrog, it's one of the four minim, right? After the festival of Sukkot, once it's ascended, we may still use the etrog for another mitzvah. The sages tell us it is better to actually use it for another mitzvah after Sukkot. Therefore, some people make jam out of it, of the etrog. Others use it as the besamim for the Abdallah to smell. Why? Because then it continues to serve a secret purpose. Beautiful. If so, what was wrong with Cain using the leftovers of his flax to perform another mitzvah to Hashem? That's the leftovers, right? He used the thing for the mitzvah, now he's going to continue with what is left to Hashem to give. Cain reasoned that Hashem is above the desires of this world and that it makes no difference to him whether one brings something new or something already used. So he thought it would be better to use the remaining of his flax for another mitzvah. Cute, very nice. But what was seemingly righteous thought, that was seemingly righteous thought, but he was mistaken. For we must bring the very best that we have to Hashem, as we find throughout the Torah, right? Read the Torah and you know the best we always bring to Hashem. That was Cain's error. If something is intended for people, one may reuse it for another mitzvah. But if it's for Hashem himself, one must ensure that it is the finest without any defect or flaw. How then did Cain decide what to do? He faced a dilemma. Whether to perform another mitzvah with his leftovers, flax, or not. Okay, now I have a dilemma. What should he do? Okay, you understand? That is why Rashi concludes his commentary with the words, from whatever came to his hand, not good and not the choice. לא טוב ולא מבחר, מה שבא לידו, ככה הוא בחר. הוא לא בחר. כביכול. Because Cain was uncertain what to do, he stretched out his hand as if casting lots, waiting to see what would come out. But he did not do good. And therefore, what came to him was not a good choice. Why? Because the main thing is our inner intention. And according to that, the outcome may be determined. Now I'm talking about the mazal, the goral, so to say, what will be determined, so to say. As our sage says, in the way a person wishes to go, he is led. בדרך שהאדם רוצה ללך, בא מולכין אותו. We also find that the tribes cast lot to divide the land. And everybody agreed to it, because it was their desire to fulfill Hashem's will in the matter. In the same way, the Yasha explains what was in Cain's heart at the time he brought his offering. I'm going to cut it short. We can know without a doubt that even before that sin, his heart was not whole with Hashem. He didn't have a whole heart with Hashem. nor did he walk in the way of the upright. He acted according to the stubbornness of his evil heart. Skip a bit. So Cain thought that through this offering, Hashem would be appeased and would exalt him over his brother. He will be over his brother. Basically, he had problems. What he decided in his heart, it was a mistake. He had, so to say, evil intentions, bad intentions in his heart. Therefore, thus, because Cain's inner intention was not good, it was likewise reflected in what came to his hand, something not choice, which he brought as his offering to Hashem. And that is the secret we must learn from it. That's the soul. That's what we really need to know. When we do something, we must remember to do it with pure and sincere intentions. For then Hashem himself will ensure that something good will arrive for us in our lot, in the circumstances and outcomes of our lives. Of course, Cain had additional inner reasons for what he did. Okay, but overall, this belongs to a different perspectives. One that looks deeper into the spiritual of Cain and so on. Midrashim then talk about his inner spiritual self. Now we talk about the actions, where it came from himself and why he did it. All these insights answer the questions we had on Rashi's commentary, clarifying every difficulty we raised. Yet, yes, we went a bit deeper. What normally we can study from Rashi, yes, but we really examined each and everything. Now, because we don't have the time anymore, and unfortunately I did bring everything, good, but I wanted to expand in each part more, but we don't have the time. Therefore, the lessons. Even something that seems simple or earthly, right, can become secret if we dedicate it to Hashem. We must recognize that holiness is not found only with lofty places. It can grow from the earth of our daily life. To every subject that we have in life, we should strive to use it for a mitzvah. By doing so, we infuse holiness into it. Did you know you can infuse holiness into any kind of material we have here? It's holy by itself. But you know, by doing the mitzvah of tzitzit, you add additional holiness into it. That additional, what you add, you can actually put it in every material you have. If you use it for a mitzvah, something dedicated for a mitzvah. Whether if it's gmilut chasadim, to help somebody else, or you and Hashem, or whatever. Just like the offering of favor. This also reflects the mitzvah in Shema Israel. Over there it says, with all your might, b'chol me'odecha. Rashi explains that one should serve Hashem with all of his possessions. Every possession you have, dedicate it for a mitzvah, something spiritual, add something into it. Another thing to study. Flax is unique. It grows from the ground like a plant, yet it is also considered as something from the tree. In this, it reflects the human condition. We are formed from the dust of the earth, yet possess a soul that reaches the heavens. Cute comparison I did. Our task is not to reject the physical world, but to elevate it, to let our material side serve a higher purpose. Every physical act can become spiritual when directed towards Hashem. Even the simplest things in life carry this dual potential. They can draw us downwards into materialism, or, when used properly, they can lift us upwards, transforming the ordinary into something holy. Now, we have many other things we study from here. I'm not even sure what to go about. So overall, remember, if you only look into the things, each part, can find many other stuff that we learn actually from all of it. Yeah? The heart, our attention. What we study from the etrog, how we should act with other people and with Hashem. What kind of mindset we need to have, kindness and holiness. Alright. Thank you all very much. I hope you really liked and learned a bit what sometimes Rashi put in his commentary and why we have dozens of commentaries that explains Rashi. Baruch Hashem, thank you all very much.